The Hutts aren't exactly known as a friendly race within the Outer Rim territories. In fact, they've made their name among the galaxy as crime lords, bounty hunter employers, and double-crossers, all in a community far from one the Jedi would usually be concerned with. However, the deeper into the galaxy one treads, the more the old rules no longer made sense. Luckily, Luke Skywalker managed to stumble upon a Hutt that defied the stereotype. After the destruction of the first Death Star, Luke Skywalker went in search of a smuggler who could take him to the old Jedi Temple on Coruscant. His quest for a smuggler sent him to Nar Shadda. After a series of poorly planned events, the young Jedi found himself in captivity on a distant planet, one ruled by a powerful crime lord. This was no place for a young Jedi to find answers for the mysterious ways of the Force, and yet, that's what Luke found.
As you may have gathered, I am not like other Hutts.
Graas didn't look dissimilar to the others from his race. Slobberish, fat, and imposing, the Hutt towered over Luke as he lay defeated on the ground of Hutt town on Nar Shadda, an outlaw planet in the Outer Rim, and also the home planet of the Hutts. And yet Graas was indeed not like the other Hutts. Well before the Clone Wars, as a keen student of galactic history, the young Hutt attended an auction selling ancient Jedi artifacts. It sparked a lifelong interest in the Jedi Order for Graas, leading to a large collection he would come to acquire. However, it was an ugly business from the start, as most of the items up for grabs were illicit, with one even including a captured Jedi Padawan. Yet Graas wasn't swayed into a life of crime just yet. It took a chance meeting with traveler Lor Santeca, who would later become a Rebel Alliance ally in the Age of the Resistance, to take his Jedi artifact collecting seriously. Over the years, the Hutt's collection grew and grew. Inadvertently, despite the life of crime he did eventually fall into, his obsession with the Jedi Order heirlooms served to help the allies of the galaxy, the side he was straying further and further from. The Age of the Empire, which was around the time that most of these artifacts were being lost for good, was also the time that Graas rose to prominence within the smuggler hive of Nar Shadda. His rule of Hutt town grew nearly as consistently as his Jedi collection, becoming as powerful as many other Hutt crime lords, though not yet quite as ruthless. Although unintentionally, he could almost be considered an ally of the Rebel Alliance. He didn't have a great interest in the wars of other planets, at least not more so than his love of Jedi relics. And that meant, compared to other crime lords who were simply motivated by money, Graas' effect on the rebellion was much less. By the time he crossed paths with Luke, his huge collection consisted of lightsabers, Jedi holocrons, a Jedi starfighter, statues, and even the bones of several deceased knights. At a certain point, it was considered all that remained of the Order, all housed within his gargantuan palace. It was almost as if the Hutt had taken over the Jedi Temple itself, creating a portal back to a different time. Once Graas became aware that a boy wielding a lightsaber had been spotted, he sent word to nearby thugs to capture the Jedi's weapon so that he could add it to his very own collection. Or at least, that's what Luke first thought, but there was a darker truth behind Graas' desires. As Graas quizzed Luke in his palace, it became abundantly clear that the Hutt wasn't only seeking ownership of Anakin's former lightsaber, he wanted Luke himself. Though his preservation of the Order could be an aid to the Allies, his wealth and power by that point made him into a greedy Hutt, which sadly was more in line with the general perception of the species. Violence would also become a center part of Graas' life. More muscular than other Hutts, and donning a set of cybernetic legs, Graas' plan for Luke was simple and evil. Graas owned a gladiatorial arena, and he would have Luke train and star in an upcoming death match. One of the last times a Jedi could be seen wielding the sacred lightsaber in battle. Perhaps it was Graas' own sick idea of keeping the Jedi alive, or more disturbingly, a flagrant abuse of his power and influence. Either way, it showed how far the once promising Hutt had fallen. The revelation made the prominence of the Jedi holocrons in Graas' collection that once opened contained messages and teaching from deceased Jedi throughout the entire history of the Order ironic. Was the Hutt collecting these artifacts in the spirit of preservation? Or had his entire journey been to gather up as many relics from the Order as possible to disarm his enemies? His collection did include artifacts from the other side of the Clone Wars too. In an effort to keep Luke under his control, Graas set his personal Magna Guards on the Padawan, droids that were used by the Separatists in the war as a more evolved soldier to take down the Jedi. It hinted at a larger conspiracy within Graas' mindset and meaning behind the collection. Although the collection impressed Luke, being a student of the Force himself, he still had his guard up. Gracchus' promise that he was not like other Hutts could have lured the former farm boy into a false sense of security, yet he was always ready to fight, and he eventually would, if he wanted to leave the smuggler's moon with his life. Gracchus may have had a greater understanding of the history of the Jedi Order, but that by no means meant he was more worthy of the knowledge than Luke. Despite his evil tendencies, Gracchus was still an exception to the Hutt reputation. Physically fit, well, for a Hutt, able to walk and pilot a shuttlecraft, he would either be a formidable foe to those on his bad side or a worthy ally to those on his good. As for Luke, his time spent with Gracchus would lead him to many revelations, but not without earning a few scars.